voice sounds like shit. I like kind of just woke up in a way. I've been in bed all morning. It's almost noon. This is great. Oh, it's not quite 10 o'clock, but it's getting close, so yeah. We gonna be alright. Oh man. Oh, my throat hurts. How hot is it outside? Yeah, temperature's rising pretty fast. So legit an hour into streaming, I'll need to have a break. Okay, I see. Set an alarm for that. Also gonna just start eating my breakfast while I wait for chat to fucking load. For the record, my breakfast is cereal and a monster. I think that's a pretty decent breakfast. I think it's about 11. Now I'm gonna. Not working. Let me start this, I'm assuming. Oh, I just realized all my banners and shit were messed up because I changed the layout to be the same size as my monitor or whatever. You know, I'm just gonna add a color source in the background. It's so bad, the color's so drained. Hold on. Maybe this one. That works. That works. Alright. Why is chat function not working? Let me check. Because it's not fucking working? Okay. mean, I guess this will work. Just real quick. Make my life a tiny, tiny bit easier. I'm honestly just messing around with stuff, making sure everything's working. Now let's see if the mirroring function will work. It will. Okay. I'm gonna have to redo all of the setup since I changed the format. Oh, glory. Oh, I hate doing that. But you know what? It makes the actual streaming experience a tiny bit easier when everything's just batching. What do you mean can't connect to the back? What? Work. Okay. Now it's work. Oh, wrong. What do you mean? Oh, never mind. I see what's going on. I can't watch anything on the tablet while streaming something. That makes sense. Oh, why is it not working? Alright, now that's working. Okay, that one's done. I think that's everything. Just go through. Oh, this one. Honestly, the background on this one I don't care too much for. The rest of this, just around a bit more. Okay. Sorry, I'm eating. I don't want to finish eating before I start. Let's check the poll again, which I highly doubt changed. Didn't change. Yes, 3. I will be going over your fish anatomy thing. Sorry if I don't sound the best. Someone's sleeping, and I'm trying to stay quiet while also eating that breakfast. It's officially 10 o'clock, and no one's really here. I'm just gonna start anyway. What should I start with? What should I start with? I know it's anatomy and perspective. I just which one did I write it as? Is it perspective then anatomy, or yeah, perspective / anatomy building? Okay, so hmm, I have an idea. So I don't know what type of anatomy to go over. How about just like human anatomy, most likely? That's the most basic one. I'll be going over a couple animals' anatomy, how to combine them with humans, robot as well, animatronic type shit. Mainly because that was requested. And what else? For perspective, I don't know how I should I don't want to like go over everything, but I do want to go over stuff that can help with learning perspective. As I said, I kind of like just woke up. It's 10:02, and and eating breakfast. I planned to plan out everything before stream started. Um, What is it? Encode overload. Consider turning down video settings. What do you mean? Let me check. Let me check the video settings. I'm pretty sure it's on medium latency. Oh. It's unstable. Oh, encode processor is a bit high. Okay. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna play some music now because I think I have an idea what I'm doing. I'm gonna go over. I guess I'm gonna go over perspective first, then anatomy, and then combine the both of them. And then I'm gonna go on to those subsections like animal anatomy and how to use, different sheets for perspective. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Now, my music. Which I really need to sort, by the way. Oh my gosh, I need to make like a folder for the music. Music. Playlist, maybe? Where's this? Move these three to playlist. There we go. I guess we just start. Where are you? I think everything's set up. Let me check. Okay. Sounds fine. Alright, we open. Sure, it's just spiders. I've been working. I wonder what's the biggest canvas size I can go up to. I think I'll just 6,000. 7,000. And Oh, my avatar's so small in this one. Hold on. That's funny. I adore it. That was cute. Small avatar. Art screen. Let's see if I can send it. Really important. Screens. Alright. That'll work. That'll work, in my opinion. There we go. Now, where is my art glasses? No clue. Technically, I don't need it. I can draw without it. I just get annoying smudges every time. Well, I mean... I guess I'll just start. So, hello guys. Welcome to the stream for video, whichever version of this you're watching. And we'll be going over, in order, I'm going to do this in order. We're going to be going over perspective, anatomy, and a combination of those two, and then some animal anatomy, and suggestions that are going in chat. Depending on how active chat is, that will determine how long the video stream will be. So this can be from 1 hour to maybe 3 hours, maybe the rest of my day. It really depends on, viewers and all that. Because I'm pretty free today. All I really have to do is let the dogs in by 11, and I'll give them the mix. That's it. So, perspective. If you want to work, can. Change to. No, I don't like that one either. That's good. Okay, so perspective. It is like where you or foreshadow that stuff. I don't mean like foreshortening. That word. It's where you have like, let's say you have a person standing here and their hand is all the way up here. Their hand would be bigger and their arm would be slowly getting smaller the further down you go to. It probably look more like, do a quick little sketch of what I'm trying to explain. You have like a hand right here, and the hand is about maybe even bigger, but around the same size as like the head. Maybe really just depends on how you want to work it, I guess. So I tend to think of it as the head being nearly like half the size of the hand or something like that, because it's like reaching upward. It also depends on how close the camera is to said person, and the further away the camera is, the closer or around the same size everything else on the body is gonna. It's still gonna have foreshortening where like the hand is bigger than the head and head is bigger almost than the entire body. That's always gonna stay. So like you're gonna have like a body that's really small, and then the hand's gonna be just like huge. But there's that. And then other perspectives, it's like, head perspectives, like that one meme, this, which probably remember drawing it from memory. I forgot the meme. The free run meme. The head's really bad. I mean, like, it's not even like a bad drawing, in my opinion, it's just kind of funny. Sure, the anatomy is a bit weird, but like, what are you supposed to expect? Because anatomy and perspective don't work together very well, which is kind of why I want to make a tutorial about how to combine the two in a sense. Because the camera's going down. In like a normal perspective, let's just say that person's like doing this or something, they're just raising their hand. And the camera would be here. Or probably maybe here. And the person's just like standing there, and you're just looking up at the camera with their hand in front of them. Like let's say like the camera would be like sun or whatever. Like they're trying to block the sun from getting in their eyes. Also would go the same way for when you're shading a character perspective is also pretty useful because like so if the camera or like light is from this angle, it's going to be hitting the character right here. Like, because you're doing this, you're bringing the middle of said area and pulling it outward. Like the rays of sun through clouds, where you see them. You have sun, let's say like up here, and then there's like this spot in the cloud, and another spot in the cloud. The rays would be going like this. Think of it like that. Another thing for perspective in other things, like, let's say you're making a road with some buildings. The most basic thing, first version of perspective I have ever learned is like there's a tiny dot here, and then you have the lines that go out, which are extremely useful even when you're trying to when you're trying to make actual humans in a perspective-like scene, because you're still using like a little dot and you're going outward from that dot. There's quite a few ways to do that, actually. My favorite way is using like a cylinder. Like cylinder, and then there's just like, let's do 3 for like a chibi character. And it's just like this little girl who's like sitting in her dress or something with ice cream. And she's here, but the camera angle is from, let's see, like really close at the ice cream she's holding it. It will be a very huge close-up of what she's probably looking at. Let's say she's looking ahead, not focusing on the ice cream. The ice cream is just right here in her hand. You'd have like a spot where everything's going to be much larger than over here. Another angle would be from up here would be pretty a good description of what I mainly use the cylinder for when I'm doing perspective, especially when it's from a high up top angle. You can draw 2 circles and then some thinner circles in the middle to represent everything else. This would be where ponytails are, like as we see here. and eventually, like, dress goes here, like, dress. And then here's her ice cream. Everything will be moving inward, just like the circle is. Circles. Imagine the circles as those, like, guide lines you see. What perspective to this. I can make a lot of videos, but I'm just going over some basic ideas. I don't want to rant too much. Actually, you know what? I can probably go to one of my older drawings that uses perspective. Let's see. Gosh. Hi, Discord notifications. Was not expecting you. Here. This one. Fisheye perspective is a pretty hard one, in my opinion, because it requires a lot. It requires a lot. I don't feel like explaining it, so... Alright. So here is my process of it. This is probably the most important part about fisheye perspective, is that it's like a circle. It's a looking thing. And you have that, you can still see that. The main point is in the middle, and it's going outward. The person stays in line with the points right here. Alice. Yeah, Alice. She stays there. It stays in the lines, which guidelines are just important to use. You don't have to use them, they're just good to use whenever you're making something. And then there's like these lines that like indicated where, you know, each thing is going to start from. Like, for boxes, since they're like, even though they're straight, boxes are normally like this. You wouldn't draw the box like that with fisheye perspective. You would draw it with a curve because it's from like a curved angle. What's another perspective I could use? Ooh, wait, that was a good example of foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. I'm gonna keep saying foreshadowing. I am way too tired for this. Good example for shortening is the arm. Right here. It is a good example because you can see the shoulder, the main arm, and then the forearm. You see the bicep, the forearm, and the shoulder. Not really the hand because that's hidden behind flashlight, but you see that. And you can even see it in the final drawing, kind of. It's covered, but the fabric goes around the arm, and then the forearm. And obviously, it would still somewhat go inward at the wrist, but think of it as a cylinder for... I wouldn't say just always think of it as cylinders. You can use cubes too. Cubes are really, really good to be using because they're a good base. Another, just going through my old comic pages, to be honest. Because the comics are really, really good to be using when it comes to this, because, to be honest, why wouldn't I? They're really good at showing how, whatchamacallit. I did really good research on perspective on this one, okay? I don't even remember what to call it. But you can see how, even though, like, arm, it's not completely flat, they're not all flat, but, like, the arm is clearly getting bigger and somewhat smaller at some parts, like here at the wrist. You can see it goes inward. Even if the fabric is covering it, you can still see the small details within joints, which isn't that important. It just makes it, I'll go over with anatomy. Basic anatomy, not gonna go over every small muscle. That would be cool. I will do that one day. I'm pretty sure when I'm, more educated on every muscle. I'm still working on that, actually. So for like specific joints, I tend to use circles. And each circle, the closer it is to the camera, the bigger it's gonna be. So like, the knee circle is slightly smaller than the circle because it's more like just going upward. It's not going like completely forward. But you can see very much how the foot joint, the ankle, is a lot bigger than the one at the head. Also goes for here, a cylinder, just a cylinder with some basic lines in between, most likely, where I did, oh, here is where it's going to be, and blah blah blah. This is the thinness, and this is where the switch is going to be. You don't have to use those lines, they're just guidelines. The cylinder is just my favorite form, but you can use, I think I have an example where I used a cube, so let's go back here. For perspective with cubes, this would also go into anatomy quite well, because I use cubes a lot when making specific body parts, like the torso or pelvis. So let's say this is your head, just a circle. Actually, you know what? I should probably just draw out the basic body first. So let's say the body is this, like something simple, nothing much. Just like, let's go with 2 circles and stick arms. I'm not doing more than that. I'm not doing more than that. But for camera angles, you can position the body in any way you want. Because cubes are really good for that. Or even if you don't want to use individual shapes for each body part, you can make the entire body a cube, which is what I do with the cylinder. Since, I just prefer the cylinder because I can use circles, and I like drawing circles more than squares. But you can still do that. Here, just do a quick sketch of what that would probably look like. So the head up here, the upper torso, lower torso, most likely. Try that again. Because I'm trying to position this in the middle of everything, which I would suggest doing when you're doing this, because or you can just make the lines the base, base, like, I'll just grab one from from before. I think it was here. I think it was here. I'm not 100% sure. Ooh, that is some good perspective right now. I have that finished drawing on paper. I don't have a complete drawing on paper. I'm not paper. I finished it on paper. I don't have it digitally. Where is that term sheet? This one. You could like specify like different. Try that again.
So, like, this is where the head would be, body of the torso, middle of the torso for, like, you know, arm joints, knees, legs. So, if I were to put that into a square, I'd legit just block out these ones. Copy that. And back here. Just erase all that for now. And now I could just redraw the character, aka that was me, right here, more accurately because of the sheet. So that's the body, and then these are just two pretty simple legs. And then you could turn that into a cube, which would mean, like, let's go with a very small cube up here. Let's just expand it outward. You could really just think of everything as 3D shapes. That's what you really want to build, which I'll go over how to do that with your characters in a bit. And this one would be like a basic, like, all even five lines. It'd be smallest line up here, and it would just, like, slowly expand the further you go. Which that didn't work. I think. I'm gonna keep trying this. I got this. I'm just tired. Being tired. So this one would go here. These two here, and then these two here, which I really feel is self-explanatory, but just going over everything. And no, they would not stop at the exact line. Those are just like, oh yeah, this is where that goes. It's a 3D box now. Think of it like that. It's a huge box where your character is standing in, and now they're just kind of there. And then you could either erase the box, or you could, like, drew it on a different layer. Oops. You could erase it to show where the character is inside. Just erase the character and redraw it. So here's our nice little person. Legs. Don't forget, if you're doing, like, an underview of a person, it's going to be the bottom of their feet that you're seeing, not the top. Nowhere close to the top, actually. Never draw the top of feet unless you know that the character isn't being viewed from below. And it goes same for when they're walking and you're doing something from, like, a lower angle. Make sure you draw all of the lowers of the design. Don't try drawing something like let's say for some reason decide to skip this and you draw the feet like this. That would not look right, because that's the top of the feet. And as you know, there are bottoms to everyone's feet. People don't just have feet all around unless they're like this. They don't have feet. Or if they're like a ballerina and they do this, and even then, you would still see like the bottom point of the shoe. Like, you'd still get that. Even if it's also a pointed leg, it would be, there would be more of a, like, an emphasis on this tiny point. Because there's always going to be something connected to the floor. Or if it's not a floor and it's like just like hovering, you're still going to see the under part of said character. Let's eat a bit more. So, basic character design. Really, I partly wish character design on, you know, it's I can, so like perspective too. What, you get these, so don't forget how, like, shapes, how you can, like, add shapes to the body, which I'll go over every shape I personally use for, you know, every body part, which you're kind of just seeing me do anyway, since I'm doing perspective first. But so there's that. Perspective, it's like where the camera angle is. I guess head perspectives are really tricky to do. Even I have a little bit of trouble doing them, but head perspectives and hand perspectives, I feel like, are ones everyone could work on to some degree, because body perspective can be pretty easy once you get, like, that basic, split everything up into simple 3D shapes, and then, or split everything into one big 3D shape that you can then, you know, visualize for characters, like minutes or whatever. Let me just draw a hand real quick. Basic hand, basic head. So, for heads, there's already a really popularized, like, way to draw heads, which it's a circle, and then the T guideline. But there's more. I forgot what it was called. But there's this other way to draw it, which is the same really popularized way, where there's just this extra spot on the head, which in reality is just, like, it's around the same size as the head. Your head is this, and then you have your face right here. And then this would be aligning where the middle of your face is. And I normally tend to draw the jawline there, which isn't completely correct when you actually look at a head. It's more or less like here. That's more where it is, and then the neck takes up the rest of this spot. I just draw it like this because I prefer it that way. That's just my art style. You can always, you know, go with a more realistic way, but in the middle is where your ear is, and your ear, as you know, is the same length of where your the top of your eyes to the bottom of your nose is. That's how big the ear you have, and that's how big characters should have their ears, if you want to go with a humanoid, you know, character. So, basic idea, look, I guess, where to start your nose would there. Another part of head anatomy is the fact that it does this thing where your nose is the furthest point from your face, in a way, I guess. It's the longest point of your face. Even if you feel like you have a big chin and it's like this, your nose will always be the one protruding outward. That's where cartoons tend to, you know, mess around with, is exaggerate specific features of faces. It's called caricature, and it's very funny to play with, by the way. You should totally try when making your characters, exaggerate your characters. the most highest degree. I highly suggest doing that because then you can actually find a even version of what you want your character to be like. Sorry about that. I don't know if y'all heard that, but that was me opening a mustard can after being like weeks of it in the fridge. Yum. That's good. I like that. Damn it, I got drink on my screen. Okay. So let's do a basic head. I don't like drawing chins very much. So on this, keep drawing chins. I love the different versions of human noses we have. I don't like chins. They feel so inconvenient. Of course, they're there for a reason. Part of our job. Which, you know, looks more like this. Draw here. The teeth. And then the head. Which, by the way, we have little holes in the side of our skulls, which I think that's really cool. Now I'm going a bit too in-depth into head design while we're still on perspective. But anyway, boom, boom. The face, it's like, think of it as like a paper that wraps around the head. Here's your paper. Boom, boom. The ear, that, and then the jawline. So, this is where your eyes are going to be. Be somewhere around here. That's where your eyes. Eyebrows are going to be exactly flat onto that line. Nose. Here. Should probably just do that so it doesn't look as creepy. Your mouth would be here. Which, by the way, I know this looks really weird. I know. I'm just trying to demonstrate something. Clearly, I don't draw like that specific for face. But that's how, like, human faces are. And it's always good to learn, you know, that. Then you go on to exploring your own style, which is what I've been doing for the past couple of years after I learned anatomy. Perspective, I've just always had a weird knack for. It's probably because of they're teaching me how to draw cars. Which even then, I'm still not the best at drawing cars. Stab that one down the gutter. And then for the hand, we have these two muscles right here. B muscle 1, B muscle 2, B muscle 3. They're all in beam-esque shapes. Okay? And then you have this empty spot, which is where all your hands, parts of your hand are going to wrinkle into. So you're going to have a wrinkle here, most like as you know, if you look at your own hand, you have like one here. You can always just split this up even more if you want, but it's mainly like that. Think of this as like where your knuckles are as well. This is a muscle that connects to your thumb, and then this one, I don't even remember what it connects to. I don't remember what it's connected to, but I know it's part of the wrist. But it's good to learn muscles. I'm still working on. I'll probably make a video on that once I finally feel like I have like some expertise on those muscles. So the actual perspective of these two specific ones, hand or head or hands, whichever one. So hands, I've seen this a lot. I've seen these issues with people mixing up their hands, like some people giving a left hand to a right hand, like where a right hand should be. And good way to remember that is don't just draw this for the hand. as much as I love doing that, remember to draw at least like the muscle for the thumb. And it could literally just be this tiny little triangle. Because you have a spot on your hand that is, like, if you look at your hand right now, it is like a square looking shape. And then your thumb is connected by this triangle. Which, by the way, your thumb only has 2 joints. So you can legit just draw that for the thumb. And then your hands, 3 joints, which draw beans. Draw beans if you want. I've seen that. I find that to be a fun way to draw hands when you're trying to do fancy looking type of hand thing. Whatever, like let's say someone's grabbing something and you want to have their hand contort in a very specific way to hold said object. I tend to use lines personally, just because then I can just draw around the lines. But I have seen others use like cylinders to draw their fingers, which isn't bad. I just find it to be a little bulky because you have joints in between your fingers. Like you have this. And also depending on, I guess, the size of said character that you're working on, the joints will either be protruding or they'll be a lot thinner. Which, anyway, they'll still be protruding because they're the joints, the bone. And you have very little muscle on your hands. Some people do have a lot of muscle on their hands, and it tends to make their hands look a little cute, which, sadly, I kind of have that. I know which isn't the best for me, in my opinion, because I like using my own body for perspectives, and not perspectives for examples. So a lot of my characters are going to end up having very thick-looking fingers. Onto heads. So heads have very different angles that you can do from. Let's say from an up top perspective. Don't forget your noses. Those are very important. Your head, annoyingly enough, it's not a perfect circle. It is very. Here would be the neck, and then your face, which is just paper. Think of a paper and wrapping around your just wrap it around a circle. It's a piece of paper that is wrapping around a circle with lines on said paper. And then you can use that. And then the nose is fun. Noses are fun. They're triangles. They're 3D triangles, or not 3D triangles. They're pyramids. A nose is a pyramid that is connected to the paper, that is connected to the cylinder that's kind of oval, that's on your face. That is a basic head. And that's how you can start building specific shapes. Not shapes. Also, I'll talk about that too when I talk about head anatomy. A lot of the time, people can forget that they have cheekbones and temples, which is very sad because the temples are like here, and then the cheekbones are here, and then your jawline is here. It's a lot of bumps in your face, okay? It is very hard to look at. And then sometimes you even have like strong eyebrows, which you wouldn't see that from here, but like they're like here. Some people have very strong eyebrows, but you'd be able to see it from a side perspective. See this. You'd see a protruding spot right above the nose, like where a nose kind of indents inward. Sometimes it'd be protruding more because of the eyebrows, which isn't a bad thing, I think. Big eyebrows, cool. for cheekbones, you wouldn't even be able to see it that well from the side, unless you're like really trying to emphasize them like they're like this or something. Then yes, you would be able to see it from that. You would be able to see like a slight bump from like maybe from where the ear is, but cheekbones are relatively same spot. Same spot. This is where your cheekbones are. They're legit just there. And on the skeleton, you'll be able to see it's right here. I kind of drew it. It's like right here. This is where your eyes, eyebrows, nose, cheek, your cheek. So yeah, really, that's all that is. That's all you really need to know is like, nose is a pyramid that's attached to a piece of paper. By the way, the paper can be any shape. If you want to have a circular head, the paper will be an oval. And then that can be attached to all the oval head. How I personally draw heads, I will go over in the anatomy section. Hands now. Hand perspective. Which, ironically enough, so let's say you have a left hand that is doing something like, it's holding something like this, and you have a lot of the side hands showing, but you have very few of the fingers actually showing. Draw, that is a right hand. Yeah, that is a right hand. Whatever, it doesn't matter what type of hand it is. But so, you have it, like, from this angle, you have this. This would become a rectangular prism. And the triangle on the side would become a triangular prism. Like that. And you use those basic shapes. You can move these shapes, by the way, because you have a joint right here. Not really a joint. A part of your hand kind of bends inward a tiny bit. In a sense. Not really, because there's bones there. But it always looks like this. Because of, what you can call it, the fucking thumb. The thumb. Try to draw that again. Gosh. So here's your hand. Draw that rectangle. And it goes inward. Just basic little shape right here. Breaking things up into shapes for perspective is really useful. It's the same thing for anatomy, just break things up into simple shapes. And then the first joint on the thumb, second joint on the thumb. Don't forget your fingers naturally curl unless you're forcing them to be straight. They naturally curl. Like, always doing the little curls, really forcing that. That kind of looks like a scorpion tail. Sometimes you can see artists that draw only 2 joints for fingers, which honestly I don't see anything wrong with, because most of the time that last joint on your finger doesn't bend as often as the rest, and sometimes it can even look like the hand's broken when you have that joint. It's still not a bad joint to add, so I could say this, and then the rest of the hand, which you're going to need to split up into like parts or something when you're trying to draw fingers and keeping them run the same distance between each other, because there is distance between your fingers. There is distance. Don't forget that your hands aren't like this. They aren't like that, despite how many kids' drawings you see, and how many times you've actually traced your hand and it ended up looking like this. It's not that. It's more weird looking, to be honest. And that's such a bad drawing. That's such a bad drawing. But so you see, that's not really a good handshake. I could have picked a really good day for it. Ooh, I know one. I know this type of one. It's like a hand and the fingers that are just like this, where you're pretty much like holding your hand flat but straight, like flat and straight. There's nothing in your hand. You're just holding the hand out. I do tend to see a bunch of people like drawing this type of hand sometimes. It is very fun to watch them draw this hand because it either ends up looking really good or really bad, which I even have my era of having horrible hands. I used to hate drawing hands. But think of everything as like simple shapes. Breaking things into shapes are good for perspective and showing the shapes from specific angles. Think of it as if you have ever been in a video production of some sort, think of it as a camera, like where the camera is. So, camera is close to face, or if the camera is a fisheye camera, you gotta look at it from every different perspective of what type of camera it is as well, from what you're trying to view it as. If you're viewing it as like a normal camera, and from a normal angle, let's say the camera is, normal, just in front of everyone would just be like standing there normally, not really intimidating. Perspective can be used to also show story in a way. So let's say the camera is lower, and from a very low angle, something. The people would be towering nearly above the camera. I did that wrong. I'm doing it from above. I'm supposed to be doing it from above. And it can almost be seen as either intimidating or a way to show like fear emotions, or you can even do that with a higher facing camera. The camera's like up here, doing that. People's faces will be here. Okay, that is a bit high above. I'm trying to do this easily. It can either show like heroics when the character is like this, where their upper body is the one that's shown the most, like strength, since you tend to think of bodybuilders, you tend to see them as more triangular looking. That could be like heroic type body camera angle. This could be more villain-esque, from Scar, where you're seeing him on the cliff and he's like blah 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 blah, and he's up here towering above all the hyenas. Okay, strange. I saw something. Yes, it did. I could have sworn I saw something glitch. Okay, no, I think we're good. Also, did I change my Twitch? No, I did not. It's still on VR chat. Yeah, let me change that to art. Search art. Look. Why do you not just have basic art? I know there's a bunch of things that just say art. There we go. Just art. Save. It's also, I'm gonna change these a lot more often. I guess this would fall under education. Yeah. That'll. I don't know why it keeps disconnecting every time I do that, but okay. And a basic angle like this one could just be used for, I don't know, when like conversations are happening. Like when there's multiple people on screen, but you want them all to be seen. You can also do conversation angles with the person being really close up and a person being, you know, away, where you can only see this person's shoulder because the camera is right here, and then you can see like the full upper body of this person. Fisheye lens is my favorite one to use when it comes to stuff like this, honestly, because as you saw, I can fit both the two main subjects of it in the same scene without having to change where I want said subject. You can have one here, someone reacting to finding this, and get disconnected. That's a bit strange. I admit that's a bit strange. Wonder why it disconnected. So what happened to my music? What happened to my music? What the fuck? Okay, I think it crashed for a little bit. Alright, I wasn't expecting that. Is my settings just for some reason really high again? What the fuck? The fuck? Alright, I guess I'm gonna finish this quick lesson about the perspective real quick. And how it can like convey a story. And then we'll take a quick couple minute break so I can figure out what the fuck is going on with my stream. Why everything is bugging out. Alright. I'll finish this without music, I guess. Oh. Just put that on loop, I guess. Alright. We got music back. Alright, but so you can use it to convey a story. I was, originally going to do a fisheye lens for this one scene. I might still do it, I just didn't like how I drew it, or rendered it. I might just get rid of the rendering and use that, but figure it out, I'll figure it out. But this, I can show the emotions still, while also showing how this is dangerous, because why the hell is there so many boxes piled up in front of it? And why is it all like closed off from everything else? And then there's the crowbar, because this thing is boarded up. And there's even boxes still covering the door. You can use perspective to show things, you can use it to tell a story, you can use it to show specific characters. What's a good Disney reference, actually? Older Disney movies have really good villain. He has some pretty decent character design to go over that. Because I forgot his name. What was his name? Dr. Basilian. He's very sharp angled, but there's this one, you know, that one most popular scene where he's being dragged into his voodoo hell, and he's like, come on, this has some pretty good perspective. It's not anatomy accurate, like, at all, because you see how his arm is doing. His arm be doing weird shit. Okay, it's very strange, but that's where perspective and anatomy. Actually, no, keep that. Keep that. It's where anatomy and perspective don't really intertwine, sorry. Because sometimes you have to break the laws of anatomy to make perspective look good. Because honestly, I feel having a good perspective is better than having perfect anatomy. Because this can be a lot better if I made the feet bigger. Here, let me just move you. Just keep right here. This can look better if I make the chest protrude more from the body. The hips can be more exaggerated since this is a drawing of my female character, Avatar. You can make the chest protrude forward more. You can even change like angles, or like let's say like she has a hand on her head, or whatever. But then for the legs, you can really have fun when you destroy a character's, intended anatomy. Just like for animation, using squash and stretch, which I might go over an animation thing eventually. I don't know what yet. But so here, let me just draw this real quick. Get the foot down, and you can really like have fun when you exaggerate perspective. So here's the bottom of the foot, here's the bottom of this foot. But exaggerating perspective, in my opinion, is the best way to make your art look a little bit more professional. Because have you ever seen those early artworks and they just look wrong, even if the anatomy is technically correct, and they just don't have the best perspective in use? Like where everything feels like it's on the same plane. That's why having a foreground and a background are really important. Which I didn't go over those, but I feel like I'm legit nearing the end of this one. But hang in there with me. This is probably like the most important thing that a lot of people use. Ground. And you can still do this like for a roof too. So like, let's say for black here. Roof. Boom. You just have these roof right here. It's very useful because then you can like, I used this once. I don't know where. God damn it. But I did this, and it was like a long corridor hallway with one character in the middle and two bigger characters over here. And then there were windows. A bunch of windows lining up, which just helped with perspective and making the room feel more open. But having like this, you don't even have to have it very, you don't have to be doing this at all. Because, at least in Procreate and many art programs that I see, they have a perspective tool where you can legit just draw the lines. It has the line stuff for you here. It's a drawing system. They're already like in a sense. I probably should have made that opacity higher. I can see that on this canvas. There we go. There's a hallway. They have those tools built in. Those don't really help very much with people perspective, to say the least, but having perspective of a room already kind of built into a program, this tool is very useful. It is very useful. If not, you can still draw it yourself. It's just straight lines in straight lines like this. It's really just... Yeah, fuck that up. It's really just like... It's really just like that. It's a really cool... That's a really cool... But, boom. Perspective. we'll be taking a at least a 10-minute break real quick, so I can go let in my dogs and give them their medicine. And yeah, take a quick break. I'll leave you with the music. But yeah, I'm gonna probably clean off my dishes with this. I'll be back in at least 10 to 20 minutes. Alright.
Alright. Just reset this up. Okay, we're back, I think. Did it work? No, I did not. Come on. Damn it thing. I need to restart it again. Yeah, I need to restart it again. Not the stream. I don't have to restart stream. I just have to restart the program I'm using to share my tablet screen. There we go. And it's working. Let's get back to streaming. Should be working. Unless something happens. There we go. Alright, chat. Now we're going to go on to anatomy. Just move this around so I can be a bit more comfortable. Next up, anatomy. And we're going to go over specifically human anatomy. Then, you know, as I said, then we're going to go over, we're going to go over how to combine these two, since sometimes they don't like working together. And what's okay and what's not okay, at least for me. So, human body. I should probably just import an image to show you guys what a human body looks like, but I don't like doing that. It's Firefox. Come on. How slow can you be, computer? Human. Alright. Alright, I'm just gonna go off base what I already know. So, a human is about 7 to 8 heads tall on average. So, let's do that. It's pretty much just insert circles with a slightly more space. For a second, I thought it wasn't working. So, human head. Grab and paste. Space these out the same amount. So the average human is about this tall, give or take,
maybe about this tall actually. Here, let me just erase that. There we go. Average human around this. Just fix this. Like how it's diagonal. I personally also like drawing around this same level, but the human head and their torso, their like bottom half of their body, is around the same level as each other. So, gotta split this directly in half. 2, 6, 7. Wait, whoops, wrong height. That's wrong. It's wrong. We're like 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Damn it, still wrong. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Wait, no, this is right. Sorry, can't count for such podcast reasons. Alright. Shush. 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 Just checking this. I think I did that right. No, I did that wrong. What's this? What the fuck? Why can't I do this right? I'm trying to remember where the middle of the body is. Because I tend to make the legs a bit longer, and I just take up 2 head spaces for the torso, but I know that's wrong. I'm just gonna draw it anyway. I'm gonna see if my muscle memory will do this correctly. Which you're seeing how I draw a body normally, not how it's correctly at the book. Oh, I missed. So torso about 3 heads there. So long. That looks so wrong, though. I don't like it. So weird. But it's correct. Oh, I'm disgusted with how that looks. But so, alright, normal human body is 3 heads, torso-wise. The legs are normally like. Just draw some twig. I got disconnected again. Don't get it. Keep disconnecting. I really do wonder why that thing keeps disconnecting. As fucking ugly as this looks, that is the basic human shape. Human on average, 7.5. And this is 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Then the 0.5. So, average human body shape. Now, splitting this up into shapes. And this fucking hoe is sideways again. Which already it was split into shapes, but the shapes that you would probably base draw a torso, or, you know, automatically without this head base. So, a head, let's just keep it the same, or, you know, get fancy and let's draw an oval instead. A neck can be aligned. The top half of the torso pretty basic. You can cut it into this very, what should I don't know what to call this shape, but it's supposed to represent like your rib cage, because you have this and you have your ribs. So that's what this is. That's what this shape is supposed to be. It's supposed to like be your rib cage. I personally like using it in general because it kind of helps me when I'm shading, like where exactly each body part is. Now your pelvis, which is kind of like a V. To be honest, your pelvis is like a V-esque looking shape. Because if you ever look at like the skeletons, they're just like this. Be looking like that. It's just a V. And then there's the joints, like what a bunch of people call hip dips. It's really just the ball joint, and then this going outward. Okay, that's a bit exaggerated, but you see what I mean. You see what I mean. You can use lines, but remember, you can't just do this for an arm. Arms are not exactly completely attached to your it is not attached directly to your torso. There is this triangle shape right here called the shoulder blade that is connected to your is there a back? Yeah, just your back or your spine. Which, by the way, necks do have thickness to them. The spine is more like this, and a bunch of people tend to draw necks that thick, which is not true because you have meat on your necks. They're around the same length. Your neck is around the same thickness as your head. Women, it is a tad bit smaller because women have lower muscle mass but higher fat than men. So there's that. Let me just draw the line. It's slightly annoying that it's not there. I have like very specific rules to anatomy that I must follow, or else a character just doesn't look like, anything in my eyes. It feels like weird shapes. But so, like, for legs. What the fuck? That must have been the dog. Because that sounded like a person. But no one else is really here right now, other than my stepdad who's sleeping. Okay. So strange. I forgot dog can sound like a... What's going on here? Oh. I see that. Now, again, basic anatomy. Joints, you can draw as circles. Which I sometimes do. I mainly only do that when I draw perspective, though. But I guess I'll just draw them anyway, here. So, leg joints, knee joints, and then your ankles. No, these would not all be the same exact size. I would say your hip joints are a lot more bigger than your ankle joints and your knee joints. But we're going with them all being the same size since we're going with like a skeleton base, because you can really just lay skin in muscle on top of after having a base like this. In the human body, it's not straight, so it doesn't matter if the lines are straight or not. And even here, we have this weird thing with our femur, I think. This bone, it connects here. There's like a ball joint right here. That's what that is. There's a ball joint. And the bone slightly protrudes outward and then comes back inward. And that's where the, people talk about hip dips and all that. That's what that is. That's a hip dip. This is it. Sometimes it's not as noticeable, and it's not as prominent, but it's always going to be there. Anyway. And then don't forget, look for your arms. Let's just finish legs first. What was the middle? What does this bone look like on my leg? God, it'd be great to have my skeleton earrings right now. What was that looking like? I can't remember. Skeletons. If I'm remembering correctly, it's like the main bone and then like a slightly thinner bone. Okay, I'm checking it again, and I'm kind of close. The dumpster crazy again. I think, yeah, it is like that. There is a bone. It does the same thing that your arm does. Here. Back to screen real quick. There you go. Check chat still. But so we have like a main bone right here. This line is too thin. And then we have another bone, but it's like in the back, so you can just leave it like that. But if you're drawing a skeleton like an actual skeleton, you might still want to draw that. That like detail of there being one bone here and then another bone in the background, just behind it. I forgot what it was called. I just had it pulled up, but whatever it's called. This is the longest bone we have. It's our femur. It is our femur. I remember that now. Also, symmetry is not necessarily important, but unless you want your character to have scoliosis, try to have at least somewhat similar sizes for everything. So I'm going to draw our back triangles we have. So it's more like this. I was close when I drew it. I have a skeleton thing pulled up. So we have our shoulder blades right there. And then there's another ball joint. Ball joints. Our body really likes having joints that are in the shape of a ball, which are really, impressively enough, for some reason, they can be pretty easy to remove or dislocate, which, you know, it is cool that you can move your arm like this, and because of a ball joint, but like it's still kind of creepy that they're in the shape of a ball. That's just my personal opinion. For females, our hips tend to actually be bigger, so our arms naturally just do this. They do that. So I guess you can consider this a male skeleton or whatever. And technically we don't have a ball joint here, but I like drawing a circle here anyway, because then you can indicate where the elbow is. And then for wrist, it's a bunch of these tiny bones. It's a lot of tiny bones. Just, you can still draw a circle there, but keep in mind, it's just a lot of tiny bones connected to two bones. Two, like, really long. But your arm is this. It's that. Personally, I like drawing one here, and then we have the other bone, which you don't see me draw often, but if I'm trying to purposefully draw it, or like a somewhat muscular character or really thin character, I will draw that extra line. Because it would help me in just the long run, remembering where it is, and it does twist over the other bone. These do cross sometimes. They do cross. But, like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe how our bone crosses over each other. But it allows for some flexibility. I'm pretty sure that's what it was for. Probably was completely wrong, just know it's there. Come on, I'm just an artist, I'm not a doctor or surgeon. Just because I've looked into that stuff doesn't mean I am into it. And then technically, your hands are just these. They're really creepy looking. It's really just that. But best to just add the hand anyway. Best to just do that anyway. Because then you can draw those details. It doesn't have to be perfect. And some tips that I have for at least human design. Despite the fact that people like to elongate these bones, this is the longest bone in our body. I tend to make them, these being the same length instead. And I tend to make the torso smaller. I'm going to keep the arms doing the same thing, where the wrists end around where the pelvis is. Or, your groin. And your arms, like where your elbows are, tend to be in the middle where your torso is. Sometimes I move it down a bit, but in all, that's how that works. And for multiple armed characters, I suggest either elongating the ribcage to, make room for extra arms, or as annoying as it could be, making the shoulder blades larger so you can add 2 joints and you have a character with arms going out right here. And the only reason why I do that, personally, is because I have a character with 6 arms. And they all protrude from the same spot. And they're all here. It's really annoying to draw. And it's really not anatomy correct at all. But at the very least, I'm not drawing them randomly. Like, where is this connected to? Where the fuck is this going? Like, I can understand if you have, a character with 2 arms and it's right here, it makes sense because then you can have a shoulder blade. Extra shoulder blades, even though they'd probably, smack into each other right here. Anyway, next part of human anatomy is the muscles, which I don't know a lot about. I know I said I wasn't going to go over it, but I feel like I should still go over it a tiny bit. Basically, just muscle shapes, not individual muscles, what they are or where they are. Because humans do have muscles. We have these weird neck muscles, these oh my god. Why can't I say muscles? Muscles on the side of our rib cage, right here. And those are important, but think more shapes at the moment. So we have biceps right here. Women still also have biceps, which is why we have a space in between our chest. Our chests aren't they're not this. They are very much this. But so, basic shapes for specific muscles, you can legit use the skeleton as a base for where muscles are. Because pecs, your biceps are right here. And there is a muscle that connects your biceps to pectoral muscles. I can't fucking remember some of the names. It is very hard to remember all of these. It has been too long. I was going to do more research before this, but, ultimately. My mic is always glitchy, by the way, Carga. It is always glitchy. I've been trying to fix it. It's always been glitchy. I can't fix it. I'm doing an art stream as usual. Look up muscles so I can actually make these right. If I can, remember how to spell that. Not musicals. Spell musicals, not muscles. Ooh, I butchered that even more. What the fuck? No, how the fuck? I can't spell. What the fuck do you mean get a new mic? New mics cost like $50. I've tried finding cheaper ones. Those don't really exist, and they actually work. Like, I bought one. I bought one for $49, and it came with no mic. There was just no mic. It was the shell of the microphone. That was it. Alright, that took way too long to look up. I'm not even gonna try and find one with names on it. I'm just gonna find one that's detailed enough that helps. That's easier to do. Because there's more goddamn drawings of it. Alright. Obviously, effects. Which, by the way, they go upward. There's more muscle that they pull into this type of shape. So when an arm is lifted, it goes with the arm. Right, undo. Back to this. Not like that. Right. Muscle. You can really emphasize shoulders how much you want. I don't really care. It's up for personal preference. Next. I said next. Didn't I? Neck. Neck have these like two muscles. Next. I can't fucking pronounce shit. But the neck has like these two major muscles that go downward, like from here. It has a lot of muscles, by the way. The neck, oof. I'm so impressed that the human species has not evolved to have something more protection around our goddamn neck. And then we have even more muscles on our neck that go downward over here. That you really need to train, or else it'll look really funny when you're training. It is hilarious how many people like you see that are bodybuilders, and they have these huge necks. But imagine them without that. That is just peak comedy. Which, by the way, we do have muscles on our shoulders, which is kind of funny. Which I don't really even sketch, because I just make the shoulders larger anyway when I draw the ball joint right here. So I don't normally have to draw that, but I'm drawing it anyway here. We have our pectoral muscles, which we have quite a few, to be honest, that are right here. I'm going to ignore those. We're going over basic shapes. So I would just draw this as like a cylinder, and then these two lines, just to at least represent that they are there. And then there's like spaces in between the muscle, by the way. They're not all connected, even though they overlap a lot. Some more muscles is the one on our forearms. It tends to protrude more here, and then they all kind of like wrap inward. I tend to like emphasize at least two muscles, and they kind of go like the one wraps around, and there's another one that wraps around the leg. That is kind of where the ass is, and it wraps around your leg, which I would also try and emphasize them. I can't remember the damn names though, which kind of sucks. I should have done more research before I streamed, but This one, I tend to make it like just this. I would decide between if you want the character having more muscular form or not before you start, drawing muscles. I'm just drawing down basic ones that are always going to be there and that are always going to be prominent. But they're also pretty useful to just have like an understanding of every muscle as an artist, which kind of sucks because you have to learn like 5 different things. Also, don't forget, you do have muscles here. You have muscles that go down like this. It's like this big strap of just muscles right here. And they like come looking out like these weird ass lines on characters, but they are very useful because there's your pectorals, and then there's this like strip of muscle here that kind of builds out a character on the side a lot more that they then wrap down that connect to like six packs. Oh my gosh, I'm itchy crazy right now. My face is quite itchy today. I fell asleep face first into the pillow, which wasn't a good idea because I broke out and now my face is itchy. So, muscles, upper half, a lot of detail in them. In my opinion, at least try to focus on a torso muscles a lot more than you think you need to, because people tend to second mind those ones whenever they're drawing. It is so bizarre to look at because you see these weird ass lines a lot of the time. Another. I know there's more muscles here, but I'm not going to draw that. Here. Onto thighs, which, funnily enough, men do have thighs. If they're muscular, they have thick thighs. They can have thunder thighs too. I don't want to draw every individual muscle in the leg, though. Oh my god. There's so many in the legs and the torso. The arms are slightly easier to draw. Which one's this one? Calves. Let's just start down here. I like drawing this as a freaking weird shape. Even though there's like another muscle that comes downward into the foot or whatever, I'm not drawing that. Damn thing. There are 2 specific muscles that I would draw in feet, though, and they're the ones that are around the ankle. Like, I can't even draw it on here. And let me just do this real quick. We have a muscle on the back of our ankle, right here. And if hit hard enough, you can temporarily paralyze that one. And then there's the muscle that's kind of just connecting it to the leg. And there's kind of 2 that do that. There's one that goes up from, like, the knee all the way down. And then there's one that's, like, right here. Which I would personally draw that one because mainly this one. No, move. I draw this one because it kind of connects to the actual like ankle. Shush. You're fine. You didn't want to go outside today. It's already 104. Bratty ass dog. Alright, now where was I? Leg. Oh my god. My dogs are gonna drive me insane. They are gonna drive me insane before I end this stream. The dogs are gonna drive me insane before I end this stream. My god. Okay, I didn't calm. I'm not calm. There's the leg muscles. Which this one I just draw as a big fucking oval. Like how I draw normal body parts. Big oval. And then there's probably like this other muscle. I forgot what it was called. Let me go back to that. What were you called? I like it's like the one that goes from like up here and it goes inward. And it kind of makes it like the thighs separate from each other. We have these two huge muscles and this one. I forgot what it was called. But then we have there's this one that pulls from side or whatever. I'm pretty sure it's the side. I think it's somewhere on the side. But from there it goes inward. And then there's another muscle that goes from butt and then forward. I don't remember what it was called. I can't remember what they were called. So annoying, but actually I think that's this one. This one's the one that comes from the back. Yeah, this one's the one that pulls from back here. So pretty much you have a huge muscle that goes from your butt all the way up here. And then on your actual back of your thigh, you have two strong muscles right here. I forgot what they were called. Let me take a look. I think they're biceps. One's a bicep, and the other one is a long-ass name that I can't pronounce. I personally just like cut it into like this Q-shaped looking ass thing. Because there's this one muscle that cuts from like here all the way down. I forgot what it was called, honestly. And there's more muscles right here. I'm not gonna go over those because they're kind of just like they're there. And it's really just wrapping around. Very pretty muscles. Muscles are very pretty to draw. I will never draw them. Honestly, it's more complicated than you really need it to be. You can simplify it to being more like, here's your torso, or the upper half of your torso, your pecs. These things that I forgot what they were called. This six-pack. And then, shoulders, neck, arms, your biceps, your arm biceps, or whatever. I don't know what they're called. Boom. Boom. And you gotta make sure everything's still connected. You can't be doing these weird-ass disconnected shapes that I'm doing. I'm just going over some basic shapes that are really important to have, in a sense. So, yeah. Oh my god, this dog. So, got the ankle where it's like higher, or is it that way? Let me just look at my own ankle. Okay, so ankle. You know, that looks strange. It's supposed to look strange. Humans are very strange looking. I'm gonna take this one and move it all the way over here. Because I think that's everything we need to go over for this. Just basic ass shapes for bodies. I'll go back. Check chat real quick so people don't say I'm a horrible streamer. Alright. There. Nothing new. Anyway, really all you need to have when it comes to human anatomy is just go over what I feel is the most important when you're trying to draw a character. And they're just going to be the basic shapes that even I would probably just draw on a character anyway. This is a more masculine character, so yeah, the male character, since, you know, obviously, females aren't that different. They are different, 100%, but I don't feel like going over all of the woman's chest area. That took too long for me to learn, despite having one of my own. Why would I feel like I could teach someone a sit? Just keep on drawing real quick. There. And it's done. Teardrop looking ass arms. Don't forget your elbows. Because honestly, I hate forgetting about those. It always fucks up a drawing whenever I forget about an arm. A part of an arm. Because I tend to use the arms in my drawings a lot. It's so annoying. Basic looking at hands. Knee joint. Legs. Just finish these up real quick. There we go. Basic body. If you want to add muscle, then you can add more designs, in my opinion. Like, I tend to just, if I want to add any muscle at all to a character, I kind of just signify it as that. It's not the best. It really isn't. But my brain already knows these shapes in the basic little line, this, that transfers here, where I get the biceps in my head, where they're just there, six pack, right here, it's not that hard to see. These muscles I would still have to draw in, because my brain doesn't see it as well, because I haven't studied every inch of the human fucking anatomy, because all you need are, like, basic shapes when you're an artist. You have to break everything down into simple little shapes. Because that makes everything a lot easier. Just like how hands, they're just rectangles with beams on them. With like a weird looking triangle at the end. That's all a hand is. Feet, they're legit like the same thing, but with smaller beams and a longer looking rectangle looking thing. Here's your beams. bone. And then sometimes ankle, which are still kind of important because that's how you connect. Why can I like just see the skeleton so I can actually draw it properly? Oh, and I didn't explain why I did this, did I? It's because we legit have the heel here, and then the bones right here. The bones are here. The heel goes inward because of that. When human feet are flat, it actually affects your what, balance? I think it was a balance that it affects. But there's the body anatomy. Body male. I'm not really gonna go over female because female is very similar. We just don't have as strong pecs. No, not pecs. Six packs. And we just have chests. And the skeleton is slightly different. Which, fun fact about skeletons, scientists can't completely approve if you're a female or a male based off of your skeleton. They can't 100% prove that unless they have like almost every part for the skeleton. No, I will not get a new mic until I can afford a new mic. Don't call me little bro. I'm a girl. I don't give a shit. Just don't call me a guy. Alright, now face anatomy. The human head. Which honestly can specify with any fucking shape you want. Circle. I would not use a triangle, but you can. You can. It's just weird looking, in my opinion. Merge. Piece of shit. I swear my computer and my tablet's trying to sass me right now. But here are the basic shapes for humans, at least. What's another one? Heart shape. I mean, there's also a diamond that which I mean that would work. You know, basic face shapes of humans. Honestly, I suggest these two. I suggest those two. I would not use this one. Unless you're like really heavily trying to draw a person with a heart-shaped face. It can be useful when you're trying to draw, what should we call it? What are these called? What are these? I forgot. Oh, Widow's Peaks? The heart shape might be a bit helpful with Widow's Peaks. And I know I'm not getting a new mic. I swear to God, it's just, no. I can't afford that. Temporary jawlines exist. Also, it's probably also partially because of my voice. I have a very sore throat right now. I don't know what the fuck happened, but after like last night, by the way, I was up late editing. I like kind of just finished that video right when I fell asleep. I was still exporting it, and I scheduled it when I woke up in the middle of the night because I needed water. That's it. I'm really tired right now, which is kind of why I slept until the stream started, or why I'm not prepared for jack shit. Oh my god, throat hurts. Anyway, back to this. So, these two shapes are the ones that a lot of people tend to use. I tend to just draw my own jaw lines for my characters, which A lot of people also still do that. Which I prefer doing this just because I have like full control over what the jawline could end up looking like. So let's do this. As I was showing before about how heads aren't completely circular, they are kind of oval shaped. Let's do that paper method since, you know, that's the one I tend to teach. Here. Jawline. Eyes, nose, eyebrows, mouth. Pretty basic shapes. Now, the skeleton of a head. Just that real quick. We have this. We have eye sockets that are around the same size as your normal eye. Your eyes are circular under everything. Not completely, but they are. But you can draw that. You can draw them as circles. Your nose, there's still a nose bridge. Those still kind of exist within your skeleton. There's this, the cheekbones. Don't forget those. Very useful. Just for a record, teeth. If you have a tooth, they're more or less. Whatchamacallit? Shut up, Pebble. You already had your fucking chance. You spent the entire morning barking. That's why you're inside. And now it's too hot for you to be outside. Oh, I hate this dog. Only dog in this house I don't like is the one that sleeps in my room. Ah, you bitch. Shut up. It is. Wanna know how hot it is outside, Apple? It is. Where the fuck's my phone? I can't touch the text to check the temperature. It is. It is currently 1:02. You can't go out there. You can't go out there for more than 5 minutes, crap. Oh my gosh, it is illegal to let your dog stay outside in 100-degree weather. This dog wants to go outside in 100-degree weather. Oh my god. I hate this dog. I hate her so much. I didn't even want her. The one that wanted her did not want her anymore. And then I got her. And I don't want her. And no one gonna let me sell her. I would 100% give her pets farm if I could. Alright, anyway. Here we are. I forget you have like temples. Got this going on. Your forehead is. With me. Jawbones. Right there. Go. A nice little skeleton. Nice little skeleton. My mic could 100% be worse, I know that. Honestly, I'm impressed it's better now. The glitchiness was worse yesterday. I did change the volume so it's a bit lower, and hopefully that way it's not as glitchy. I could probably lower it a tiny bit more, make it maybe even a little bit less glitchy. No, it's still saying it's glitchy. I don't know what's going on with it. Because the mic itself isn't that bad. Not these dogs. Not these dogs. I'm gonna go insane before stream ends. Anyway, back to why my mic is fucking ass right now. It's probably because I want you to just shut up. It's probably a combination between um the combination of having multiple devices on near the mic, a very sick voice behind it. My voice even right now is grovelly and scratchy. And then thirdly, because it's the mic that came with my laptop, it's probably not gonna be the 100% best mic. The mic to my headset is worse, and that's the one you know, Carden. The one that you hear me when I play VR chat. It would be slightly clearer, but it would not be better. It would sound even more grovelly and more weird. Anyway, here's our skull. Teeth, by the way, they are these weird looking, what would you call this? What would you call this? They're this. Teeth are this. I don't know what to call it. They're just these. And when you're doing perspective and you're just trying to work with a mouth, you'll see me draw in the comics pages or stuff. Let's say the head is at an angle like this and they're talking. Like, then I'll draw the teeth like that. I wouldn't draw them like this. That's just wrong. That's so wrong in so many ways. Okay? I'm just gonna do that. Face. I already went over the perspective of faces, so this is just basic anatomy of face. Yeah. I like the skeletons. I love skeleton heads. They're so cool. They're so cool. Also, on the bottom of your head, there is a hole. There will always be like a hole at the bottom, like right here. Because that's where your neck spine connects to. Yeah. Very nice, right? Have a fucking hole at the back of your neck. Or head. Also, on top of your head, you have this like Y-shaped crack. And that's formed when you're a baby. I don't remember what it was called or why that happens. All I know is that it exists. And, let's see. Hands. I already went over hands. I already went over the hand perspective. Went over the perspective. Still no one's here that really gives a shit about all this. So, honestly, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is her. Honestly, if no one's here and I'm watching shit, I'm gonna just keep it straight. Honestly. I could care less about talking to myself about anatomy, about something that I already fucking know. All this is just me trying to share something with a certain viewer that was asking for it. Alright. Yes, I'll go over the stupid fish thing that they were buying. Bodies. Honestly, I didn't even come up with the design for my animatronics. Someone else. Well, I did design my animatronics. The base body that I make for animatronics, though, was inspired by a different artist. So, yeah, I'll just draw already. Real quick. Okay. Ready? So, honestly, I'm kind of pissed off. be honest, I'm kind of pissed off. Because the dogs are barking, and y'all are complaining about my mic. The only thing that's happened in chat was complaining about the mic, which everyone already fucking knows if you've watched my streams before, that the mic is glitchy as fuck. I can't fucking control the goddamn mic. It's all that, and I'm kinda sick at the moment. So, yeah, bad temper. Too long. It's just this anyway. Also, the charming body. At least for Freddy, he's a bit more chunky. Both eye. I'm just gonna make a video of me doing this the more proper way. Because honestly, I don't understand. So sweet. God damn fucking God. I am so solid for this. Basic ass animatronic design. How would I personally draw a fish animatronic? I'd probably emphasize the fish characteristics. If possible, if you want them to have legs, which would be a little weird, honestly. That'd just be looking like Oda. Oda's little fucking this thing that he has for his character. Honestly, that's personally funny as hell. I would find that to be funny if Free would actually make that their character design for the fish, but I think they're wanting like an actual design idea or tutorial. So fish. What part of the video is this? Whatever part it is, this part's for you because you're the only person who requested anything, and only one who kind of was, you know, doing that. You're persistent on it. Sorry it took this long, but... so an actual fish design. It really depends on what fish. So I'm gonna go with just a salmon, like from FNAF, not FNAF, from Minecraft. Like a Minecraft salmon, where it's just the weird looking block fish. This thing. So I'm gonna do a character based off of that. Personally, I'd probably go with a more snake look, since I like making things more actually based off of him. Why am I getting spammed? Why am I getting spammed? I'd probably go with the snake lip, personally. Just because, like, let's be honest, it's a fish. It doesn't have legs. It doesn't have any sort of bipedal function or whatever. It is a fish, ultimately, in the end. Just keep drawing this real quick. I'd probably have it have 5 joints right here, where the fins would be right here, and then this is the hand. This is a really bad sketch, but it's whatever. And then the body would probably be, I don't know, some parts would probably be actually just like exposed wiring, in my opinion, because that's just the aesthetic FNAF has, and that's what they asked for. So exposed wiring in some like aspects. What would a fin look like? I keep forgetting. Which fins look like? I need a fish. I need a picture of a fish. Fish. I wonder if they said what type of fish they wanted. I don't remember. Let me check. Let's see. Check in posts. What type of fish? No specific fish. No specific fish. So, just go. These are like their hands. They could technically have multiple sets of hands, because some fish tend to have more fins than others. And some just have these 2 fins where they have 1 fin down here. I don't hate that. I like fishes. What else would a fish have? Obviously the eye. I wonder what this character is even for, man. I wonder why they needed to have a fish. Something like that, personally. If you want to have something more like this, I'd probably emphasize the top of the body. Let it, like, link inward, and then have the tail. But then, if you want the fish to actually have legs... Oh, that'd be weird looking. Oh, that'd be weird looking for me. At least for me. It probably isn't weird looking for everyone else, but it's just a weird thing to look at. Let's see. What would be a good design? Let's do something like this. Like this, these are the fins. Still technically part of the body. Is that I'm basing it kind of off of my Chica model, which isn't this. Freddy's just the base design, in my opinion. Freddy, Bunny, Foxy have the more basic designs. Especially Bunny. His legs are fun looking. I like mommy legs. They're curved. How the hell would you draw a fish leg, man? I'm really just thinking, oh, make it a tail. I mean, let's just go with this type of leg. I personally would just that goes, like how my Bonnie legs are. Plates right here, just joints. A fin there, a tail. Is, you know, fish. The little fins on the back of the tail, or whatever. I do not know how to draw this head, to be honest. I do not know how to draw a fish head for this type of body. That just doesn't feel right to look at. Okay, let's just do this. I don't care how weird it looks. This is what they asked for. This is the only thing anyone ever asked for. So, I'm doing it. Honestly. This is probably what I'm just doing for a fish. I might actually make this into a character. I might actually make that into a character. That's not that bad of a design. I really want to emphasize like the bottom of the eye for some reason. I just really want to make that dark. Something like that. I would see them having something like more like a beach theme, maybe. Let's say they have goggles or something. Goggles with let's say like swim trunks or something. Something like that. That'd be the fish that I'd go for. Science, fish design. Let's just get rid of and now I'm just gonna draw every individual piece of the body because you can't see jack shit in the design. It's like arms. Arm, kind of wing looking because you know it's a fish. Fishes technically have wings if you count their fins as wings. tail. The face, front face. Face and fish. What type of instrument would a fish play? Honestly, I feel like a fish and a flute would be cool. I think that'd be cool. Their face is in the shape of a teardrop. I just realized that. That's sad. Oh, he could be like a sad character. It really matches the fact that the eye bags are like so low or something. That face sure plays the flute. That's cute. It's very Monty-esque type hairstyle, but yeah. You win some, you lose some. This is what you get for asking someone who's a Monty fan to make a fish design in the try. Oh, you pulled up. Forgot to do that. How does one hold a just that way? Loot. They're very long. I forgot how long this instrument was. Can't believe I forgot how long the instrument was. I used to be a band kid. That was a long time ago. So, yes. But luckily, everyone was like on the hype of having a flute back then. I was on the hype of having saxophone. So I played for saxophone. Shrexophone. So. I wish I actually figured out how to play that before I quit. I was so just over my instructors. Placeholder name is going to be Dave, as always. What's a salmon look like? I forgot what colors they are. It's like a red. Oh, salmon. Red and green. I was thinking blue. I knew it was red, but I thought it was blue. I mean, it's kind of blue. In the ocean, they're blue. Now look at the Minecraft salmon. Minecraft. And I can't spell Minecraft for some reason. Shh. 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 Shut up. Should really specify it's a Minecraft. Minecraft salmon, and he plays as well. What, water safety? What rhymes with salmon? What names that rhyme with salmon? Salmon, Simon. Simon! Yes, your name can be Simon. That makes sense. Now how to spell that. Simon. Oh, it's hard. I like this guy. He's my new character. He's mine. I know I originally made him because 3 requested that they needed a fish design. He's mine now. His name is Simon the Salmon. And he's a Minecraft salmon. me see if I can color this real quick. He is... These colors. Basic Minecraft salmon colors. Sound like Simon. It works so well. Monty's secret love child. Oh, that'd be such a great character concept since they're both, like, aquatic type animals. Who would his mom be? Who would his mom be? Fuck. A crocodile and a white to make a salmon. I mean, this is a prey type character. I'm making the worst ship known to man right now. Think a prey type character. They don't really have any prey characters other than Bonnie. I'm not shipping him with Bonnie. He fucking killed Bonnie. I'm just gonna really rough color this. I'm gonna take a picture of it and post it, just so 3 can see, since 3 wasn't able to make it to the stream today, which is kind of sad, because 3's the life of the party. So is Pelly, and you know, so are all my other friends. Only person that came was fucking whoever the hell was talking about my mic, and Carnival. That's it. So, just sad, because this is the only person that I really wanted to be on stream today, wasn't here, so, that's sad. I don't really care. I really don't care who's on stream. I just don't want people fucking talk off the mic, even though it's obvious that that's going to be a problem for a while. Like, obviously, yes, I'm well aware of why do you think I've added that to almost every goddamn thing. I always apologize for it. Why do you think the need to point it out? Like, I'm well fucking aware of it. Why do you think I apologize for it whenever I make applications? Which, luckily enough, it works in my favor with the 2 applications that I have so far. Because both of them are robotic characters. Not applications, characters I'm actually playing so far. They're not humans, like I can do without having clear fucking mic. Yeah, no, that kind of foiled my mood today. It's fine. Just... Forgot about the upper fin here, but whatever. These dogs are gonna give me the worst headache in the goddamn world. You guys are so. Underbelly that was green. No, it's the head. The head's green. And it's really just the head that's green. My underbelly is actually the color as well. What about the tail? Not either. I'm sad. The eye just actually head's green. What color should I make that? I want to even out this palette a bit more. Just make the top half of the tail green. Or hell, even that maybe. I don't like the fact that the entire body is. I mean, it works for the actual character, but it's not working. I want there to be a lot more green on this character. That just it feels better when the green is more prominent. And then I could make like blue, like an actual blue, be the color. Just the character. Like this one, trying some bottles. And now for the gray. It's just the animatronic part of the fish. Okay. Why? There's someone sleeping. Why? It's not a good day to stream. It's just not a good day. I kept putting it off because something bad kept happening. I kept throwing off my vibe. Couldn't keep putting it off anymore, which is why I'm fucking streaming today, even though I'm feeling sick. Well, that's it. Just clear it up a bit more. But that's the fish design. Nothing really fancy to it. It's just a fish. It's cute. I like them. Salmon the fish. Simon the salmon. There we go. Simon the salmon. That's who you are. Simon the salmon. I like him. He's cute looking. Maybe let's make it so it's like it's lower half of this stuff. That'll work a bit more. That looks a bit better. Where it's like it's more connected even if it's disconnected. No point on more animatronics to this one. I want to even out colors more. A bit better. The blue feels a little off, but you know, that could always change over time. Maybe it's just the fucking blue. Maybe a darker blue. I like that a bit more. What's it look like on a big scale photo? I mean, it's not that bad. Oh, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't. He's cute looking to an extent. I'm gonna end the stream here. This is all y'all get because not gonna lie, I have a jokes. I might not stream for a while. I don't know what I came down with. I'm not feeling good right now. And kind of pissed off. So, see y'all next time. Goodbye.